All right, we are recording. So, welcome everybody. Happy 2021. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you so much for coming tonight and checking out what we're doing with Sustainable Broomfield. I guess I'll kind of run through our speakers that we're going to have tonight. Or actually, here, I'll just share my screen and just show you kind of our little agenda. So, all right, so we've got our introductions here. We're going to have a scraps presentation by Christi, who is the founder and CEO of Scraps. And then after that, we're going to have David with the Broomfield Recycling Center to answer any questions and give us kind of a run through of all the recycling options in Broomfield. Then we're going to have Rosie from Ecocycle, and she's going to go over the Eco Leader program. We had some folks interested in that at our last meeting, and so we want to tell you a little more about it. And she's also going to talk about the CHARM facility, which is the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. And then we're going to have Nicole talk also about another hard to recycle materials program called Terracycle. And then we'll kind of end with talking about our new hard to recycle materials campaign that we're trying to start, and some preliminary ideas and plans that we have around Earth Day. And we'd love to have people participate and help plan that out. So I'll go ahead and stop my share here. And I think we'll just turn it over to Christi now. So if you want to take it, if everyone else can just mute themselves, and we'll let Christi take it away and tell us about our scraps program.
Great. Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Jess, for setting this up and having us join. I'm assuming everyone's familiar with Zoom, so if questions come up as I'm speaking, pop them into the chat. Is that maybe the best way to do it, Brianna? If folks have questions? Okay, great.
Yeah, I think if they want to do that, that's probably best.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, in that case, a brief overview of Scraps, and then I'll talk a little bit more specifically about the program we're launching in Broomfield, thanks to all of you guys. So Scraps is, simply speaking, we're a compost pickup service. On kind of the more detailed side of why we do what we do and why we're different. We started Scraps almost 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years this February, to sort of fill a gap between what the city offers. And when we started, we were just focused on the city of Denver, and what larger commercial scale composting, compost collection services offered. So in the Denver context, at the time in 2017, the city offered municipal composting as a paid opt-in program for residents of single-family homes in a limited area of the city. That's since expanded to the entire city. And as long as a route hasn't reached saturation and you live in a single-family home in Denver, you can opt in and pay to get a compost bin and compost. And then on the commercial hauling side, the only real large-scale commercial hauler that does composting in Denver is, at the time, it was Alpine Waste. Now they have been bought and bought again. So it's GFL, those big bright green Caterpillar-looking trucks that you see driving around. They offer composting to larger commercial customers. So there's this really big gap in the middle. I, at the time, lived in an apartment. People who live in apartments and condos specifically, as on the residential side, kind of fell into that gap. And our service was truly designed to offer an alternative for folks living in condos and apartments to compost, who would not be serviced by the city's residential program, because if you live in a condo or apartment, it's treated as a business, since it's owned by a building owner and managed by a property management company. So in an ownership situation in collaboration with the HOA, it's treated differently than a single family home. So we set out to offer options specifically to folks in condos and apartments. Along the way, we had businesses reach out to us, restaurants of a certain size, offices that, say, had a suite in a large office building, which is the majority of offices in a downtown setting don't own and occupy their own building. all reached out to us saying that they also kind of fell through the cracks and wanted options to compost. So over time, we developed solutions for smaller restaurants, cafes, even larger restaurants as well, and offices, and started off with just office suites here and there to the point where and eventually grew to the point where we were serving entire office buildings. Of course, with coronavirus, we've all but lost our office portfolio for the time being, but we still have a very strong restaurant presence and more and more residents joining all the time. We have about 1,000 customers right now. Members is really what we call them across the Denver area and beyond. Just as coronavirus, oh, sorry, was someone saying something? Thought
Nope.
I heard.
I just jumped on. Everybody.
Echoes. Hi. Yeah, just as coronavirus was kicking in, thankfully, we were starting a contract with the city of Edgewater to service their single family homes. It started off as a 6-month pilot. And again, thankfully, just as a whole heck of a lot of our members were shutting down for the foreseeable future because of the impacts of the pandemic, we had this nice partnership that was just starting off with the city of Edgewater. Thankfully, after that 6-month pilot, we won the bid to be the official partner of the city of Edgewater to service their single family homes. Again, similar to Denver, on a paid opt-in composting program. So we currently have about 120 folks in Edgewater, residents who compost with us, all but a small handful of them in single family homes. Folks pay us via their utility bill in Edgewater. And we partner directly with the city of Edgewater. So it's a really nice, unique program that we've been able to develop even in one of the worst years in living memory. And yeah, we are now focusing on expanding in the Jefferson County area, including in Broomfield. Over the past couple of months, we have run what we like to call some pre-registration campaigns, including in Broomfield, specifically focused on the Broadlands neighborhood, thanks to Sustainable Broomfield reaching out to us and essentially saying, we'd love to try something, what's the best way to get started? And we are especially chastened by the pandemic. It kind of exposed for our company, as for so many, some of our vulnerabilities and areas where, we're being strategic already, but really need to just zoom in and be very focused on smart growth that wouldn't leave us vulnerable to losing our business. So these pre-registration campaigns are a wonderful way for us to expand in new areas. Density is a really key factor in launching a successful route. So for Broomfield, I think originally we set out to get 100 subscribers before we said we'd launch a route. Along the way, we started a pre-registration campaign in Wheat Ridge and some neighborhoods in Lakewood. They all were going well enough that we decided to lower that number in Broomfield. We kind of figured out how we could make a route work that sort of covered all those Jefferson County areas. So I think currently we have about 35 folks who have committed to composting through that pre-registration campaign, which essentially means they've paid their setup fee and said, when the time comes, I'm ready to compost. So for us, folks paying that setup fee, which is a one-time $25 fee that gets them their household compost bin and a bunch of educational materials, that's a nice signal to us that, okay, this person's really serious about composting versus just signing your name on a list. And when we run campaigns like this, which we do not only for neighborhoods, but say for new buildings with say dozens of residents, we want to make sure we have enough residents in a building to launch a pickup program there. If we don't get the requisite number of people, we just refund everyone their sign-up fee. But so far, we've gotten the requisite number of people. We've extended that date a few times, and we haven't heard any pushback from folks that say, you know what, I don't want to wait any longer. Just give me my money back. So that's great. And now we've told everyone who's pre-registered with us that our official launch date is February 9th, so the second Tuesday in February. And on that day, we'll basically go around and distribute bins to everyone who signed up. And in those bins, as well as in their welcome email, which they'll all receive next week, they'll have all the information they need about composting with us, what day their weekly pickup is, when to put their bin out, when to expect their bin to be emptied, obviously what's compostable, what's not, and some more kind of goodies and exciting little tidbits to help them get composting with us. So yeah, it'll be our first venture into Broomfield. Super excited about it. I personally, even though, you know, I was in Denver when I started the company, I'm out in Arvada, which I didn't know much about Arvada when I moved here a year ago, but it's really close to Broomfield. So, you know, kind of seeing the larger Jefferson County vision come together and being, you know, partnering with more and more cities that are focused on tackling their waste goals and their sustainability goals has just been so exciting for us. Again, even in a pandemic, it seems as though we are maybe finally to a point as a society where, you know, when economic crises hit, even though we can't always do or afford to continue to do all of the things that we want to do for a more sustainable future, there seems to be this widespread recognition that we cannot divorce our climate problems and our environmental problems from our economic problems or our public health problems. So certainly not something that we want to, you know, profit off of, but it's been a really heartening thing to see that, you know, even as folks have dealt with some of the biggest struggles, again, of our, certainly of our generation, they've still remained committed to doing things like composting and you know, maintaining the aspects of a sustainable lifestyle that are important to them. I'll stop there. I know I've covered a lot pretty quickly. If anyone has any questions or, oh, I see a couple rolling in actually. Let's see. Broadlands HOA to get the word out. Okay.
Yes, I'd
So
like to inquire about biogas.
Oh, well, we do not necessarily, what we collect goes to be composted.
Sure.
And then I'll go ahead and address these other two questions too. So our material, we collect our material and then we send it out to Bennett, which is the composting site run by GFL. They actually have their landfill out there too. The name of the site is officially the East Regional Landfill, but we bring all of our material out there. That's part of what my job was today. We had exactly 5,280 pounds today. I was pretty stoked to finally hit the 5,280 number. So yeah, we bring it out to Bennett and they turn it into compost. And then in the spring, and we hope also the fall this year, every Scraps member gets a 5-gallon allocation of free compost to pick up. And then we sell the additional compost. As far as biogas, back when I was an environmental reporter before starting Scraps, one of the stories that kind of drove me crazy enough that I wanted to stop being a reporter and do something a little more concrete was about the Heartland's biodigester. Not to say journalism is not concrete, it is, but I can be more effective elsewhere. Support journalism. But yeah, I did a story on the Heartland's biodigester, which was at the time the largest biodigester in North America. It's out in Weld County, kind of, you know, nestled among oil and gas. And that ended up being part of its downfall. It was shut down by the county commission in, I think this was back in 2016-17. And all of the microbiology died. $110 million facility is currently dormant. I believe that there are some talks of a new purchaser, but I honestly haven't looked into it in a while. But that was a magnificent facility where you know, it really expanded opportunities to compost because they had a machine called a Doda that would allow large producers of compostable material like supermarkets or produce distributors to send packaged material that had expired or otherwise couldn't be sold. They could just take that still packaged material, stick it in the back of a semi truck, bring it to the Heartland's biodigester, run it through the Doda, and the Doda would depackage it. So you'd have, you know, packaging on one side and then all the material going into the digester, turning into biogas, as you said.
Good.
So just biologically produced methane. And the state of Colorado was selling that methane to the state of California to help California meet their CO2 goals. And the other byproducts were liquid soil amendment, LSA, which was also certified organic, and organic compost. So it was essentially this incredible zero waste facility that shut down a technicality by, my opinion, a very biased county commission. But maybe someday we'll have another biogas facility here. We were so lucky to have it when we did, and it remains an enormous, shame that it ended after less than a year of operation. Someone asked here, Belinda asked here, have we reached out to the Broadlands HOA? Yes, but I use we loosely. It was really Jessica and Brianna who did that legwork. One of the things that's incredibly important to Scraps and part of how we work and how we grow is through partnerships like with Sustainable Broomfield. It's pretty ineffective. It's more of a volume game to do direct marketing and kind of reach out and say, hey, we're a compost company. Would you like to compost with us? Versus kind of doing what we can to provide a wonderful service that people share via word of mouth, or that is, kind of discussed in groups where it's important. And then when folks reach out to us, we can really nurture partnerships that make sense. And in the case of you guys, that is certainly one of those partnerships. You of course already have connections and neighbors and email lists, and have your finger on the pulse of the community. So it was Sustainable Broomfield that suggested to us that the Broadlands neighborhood would be a good neighborhood to start with for various reasons. And I believe multiple emails and HOA meetings and such have happened on this topic. So thank you guys again for really doing that work for us. We set up a web page and do some email blasts and some social media posts and field any questions that come in. But really it's that, it's that word of mouth and that kind of assuring your neighbor that this is legit and this is happening, and this is something exciting to be a part of. That, if I'm perceived as someone just trying to hawk my business, that message doesn't get across very effectively. Betsy asked about reaching out to Anthem Ranch. I confess I don't know where Anthem Ranch is in Broomfield, but certainly once we have a nice foothold in the Broadlands, it'll be so much more easy to expand to other neighborhoods. And we'll try and do neighborhoods that are in proximity, either adjacent or in close proximity to one another as we grow. But again, just kind of the stronger the base, the easier it is to spread to other neighborhoods. So if you, Betsy, or someone live in Anthem Ranch or have connections to Anthem Ranch, I would say hook up with Brianna and Jess and me, and we can see what we can do to get that ball rolling. And start another pre-registration campaign now, and say plan a launch in April and set a target sign up number, just like we did with Broadlands. Do I know? Another question. Do we know if methane is captured in many of the landfills in Colorado? Yes, it is, but in like incredibly minute, almost meaningless amounts. So for instance, the largest landfill that the Denver area uses, the Arapahoe district, what do they call it? DADS, Denver Arapahoe District, something site. I can't remember what the S stands for. They capture just enough methane to run their office on site, and their office is it's like a trailer. It's, it probably uses like a fraction of the energy of a normal household. So it's, from my personal opinion, it's like tokenism. I don't know if it's greenwashing, but it's just not a significant methane capture sort of effort. The rest of it is flared. It's just, if you go and visit a large landfill, they have to, create a system that's capturing and getting that methane out of the landfill itself, out of the piles, or else you'll have a terrible explosion someday. But then they just flare it. So there's a couple of flares with hoods over them that just sort of looks like a natural gas site that's just burning 24/7. Yeah, let's see, a couple of other questions, and I know our time's coming to an end in a couple minutes. So Let's see, we did compost in Louisville, Betsy says, for years, and have been frustrated that we have so much waste here in Broomfield. Yeah, I hate to say, I love hearing stuff like that. It is frustrating. I mean, really, like, if I could use one word to describe why I started Scraps, it was frustration. Like, I was living overseas for many years and just happened to get into composting first as a Peace Corps volunteer, and then just kind of took it with me as a lifestyle habit in all of my subsequent jobs in Madagascar and then Kenya and Uganda. And it was just always so easy. It was so something you could do wherever you were, in the city, in rural areas. It was something that makes so much sense. It makes so much more sense than recycling in so many ways. The benefits are immediate and multiple, and the cost is low. And then I moved to Colorado almost 10 years ago now to do my master's, and I landed in Niwot, just, found a room on Craigslist. And my housemates were composting in Niwot. And I was like, okay, yeah, of course, duh. Everyone composts the world over. And, come to find out, when I left Niwot and sort of the extended Boulder bubble and moved to Denver a year later, I moved into an apartment and then a couple more, and nowhere offered composting. And, I was still wearing my environmental reporter hat at the time. So did a little digging on, what the legislation was and what the policy barriers were. And this was back in 2012. So I feel like it's shifted quite a bit, but there was still so much just, reticence to adapt any sort of policy that smacked of Boulder in Denver. It was like, poof, those little bubble people, like, we're a big city, we're going to do our own thing. Even if it was really smart, scalable policy, it came from Boulder, we're not even going to listen to it. So it felt to me a little bit like that was still a thing in sort of Denver politics at the time. I feel like it's dissipated quite a bit. It feels a lot more progressive here or there, I guess, now, but I might just be too deep in it to really see the forest for the trees. But yeah, it's just, it's so, I was incredibly frustrated, to the point where I was doing all sorts of crazy things to save my compostable material and like bike it across town, or use my boyfriend at the time's very expensive car to like drive it across town to friends with compost piles. And, I used to joke that, like, if the bag spills in the Audi, like, I'm leaving the state. I don't know how to clean this. Like, I can't afford to clean this, so it was always kind of like, okay, I'm going to drive to, to like East Colfax to my buddy's compost pile, and Lord help me, this bag doesn't break in the car. So ridiculous stuff like that for several years. And yeah, it shouldn't be like that. And some of our earliest supporters were other like rogue composters, as we call them. And really, I was just banking on the fact that there were other frustrated people. And that was back in 2017. And now you have this combination of frustrated people plus examples of how easy it is. And, I'm excited to say it's not just Scraps anymore. There's several other companies kind of nipping at our heels, as we like to think of it. And that's great. There's a wide open playing field to offer more tailored solutions for people who want to have the option to compost.
So, Christi, this is Belinda, and I'm wondering if I have the information correct. It sounds like it's the $25 fee to get started, and then it's a $25 per month.
That's correct. Yeah.
And do you bill each household individually? How does that work? I do live in the Broadlands. We live in Stone Ridge, and
Okay.
I've tried to get it going just in our little part of the Broadlands, but I have been told I need to have HOA approval before I can go knocking on doors. So that was why I had asked about the HOA thing.
Got it.
I want to make sure that when I'm giving out the information, what I am telling them is accurate. So
yeah. That's a great question. So at this stage, we are, the planned launch we have in February will bill people individually for that $25 a month. It is month to month, so folks can cancel at any time, or if there's folks who, seems ridiculous, but go on extended vacations or perhaps have a home somewhere else, they can pause their service. We do also offer HOA contracts. So we have a number of large buildings in Denver, mostly, where we service either the entire building or a significant enough number of units in the building, where instead of billing residents individually, we simply bill the HOA or the property management company as it might be. And we can give quite a significant discount for that level of density. You know, it saves us a heck of a lot of money and time and potential heartburn to just have a single invoice each month and to really know that we have this core of committed people that's sort of, you know, able to pay as part of their HOA fees. And then we just bill the property management company or the HOA. So that's certainly something we could just convert you into if we, you know, get the level of interest, say in the Broadlands neighborhood or even a large enough area of the Broadlands where we wanted to do it like that. I'm trying to think of kind of our average or, you know, maximum minimum price per month, but, you know, suffice to say, if we have, say, more than 50 people in a concentrated area, we can really knock down that price, you know, more on the order of $10 per person per month equivalent when it's billed as a single invoice than $25.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think I've just about reached my time. If anyone has any further questions, you're always welcome to email us, info@scrapsmilehigh.com. And I'll go ahead and type that here in the messages. That goes to essentially our whole team. And yeah, we're always happy to answer any questions you have about our service in general or in particular. And like I said, even if you want to just give it a try for a month and it doesn't turn out to meet your expectations, or you're not producing enough compost, or you're producing too much, you can cancel at any time. So yeah, just to ease your minds a bit if you're on the fence about it, or if your neighbors are.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christy.
Yeah,
Yes,
one
thank
more
you.
thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. One more thing I almost forgot. We are doing a free month for the first 50 subscribers in Broomfield, and we're only up to 30 something. So there's still some room too to just basically you'll pay that setup fee, and then you won't, if you stick with it, you won't see a bill until April.
Awesome. Yeah, and for any of you that are on here, I think we're going to send out a follow-up email, and we might have a little like post on there that if you're a member of Nextdoor and you live somewhere that reaches the Broadlands, we would love for everybody to just put a little blurb on there so we can kind of pass the word around. If you live in the Broadlands, please just maybe contact the HOA, sign up if you can, talk to your neighbors about it. Christy, were you guys going to be putting up any little yard signs or anything within the Broadlands for people who had signed up?
We absolutely can. We know from trying to do yard signs in some other areas, Edgewater in particular, that there can be rules around that. So yeah, we're more than happy to do up some yard signs for folks who are willing to post them. If there's anything we should know about kind of local laws around size or type or duration of yard signage, I would love if you could point me in the direction where to find that on the city's site.
Yeah,
But
I'll look into that, Christy, and I'll get that information to you.
Thank you. And they tend to be, the yard signs that we're doing for Edgewater certainly don't violate any of their regulations, but I didn't even know there were regulations around yard signs. So
There's regulations for everything.
great. Well, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to present.
No problem. Thank you so much, Christy.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next on our agenda, we have David Jackson with the Broomfield Recycling Center. He's the environmental services coordinator. So he's going to give us an overview of what we're able to recycle in Broomfield, where we need to take some different stuff, some of the special events they have that run at certain times a year. So we'll just let David take it away.
Thanks, Brianna, and thanks to Christy. That was awesome. So yeah, my name is Dave Jackson. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate you guys inviting me to be here tonight. I guess let's just start. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you guys want to switch over to speaker view, it might make it easier to see. How's that? Pretty good? Okay.
Looks
Um,
good.
Awesome.
Looks good. Yeah, good.
So this is the City of Broomfield's webpage. All of our information is pretty up to date on this site. Some of it is not always the best, but Brianna and I were talking about that earlier. Anyway, the Broomfield Recycling Center is a 24/7, 365 facility. It's unstaffed. I'm the only person who really goes there on a regular basis. We have multiple bins out there. We separate cardboard, newspaper, office paper, and then we have the 2 commingled bins for your single stream. And then we also provide 3 ARC bins for donations for shoes, textiles, and books. That's collected weekly. Sometimes we've been getting a lot of donations. So those are out there for you to use. The recycling center recently, we did an update on the signage out there. So we went more kind of in line with Boulder County's facility. We used some of their similar signage, and that way we're kind of all on the same page. We're working on a lighting project out there so we can get some better lights so people can use it at night if they need to, especially this time of year when it's so dark out at night. It really cuts down the hours people can use it. But yeah, it's a free facility. Broomfield residents, we don't check residency. We do our best with that. Recently, I'm sure a lot of people have heard cardboard has been pretty crazy with the holidays and all the Amazon ordering and stuff. So we're doing, just a guess, I mean, we might be doing 4 tons of cardboard every couple days. So we're running a lot through our facility right now, more than usual. So that's kind of where we are with that. My next page is classes and events for Broomfield. So these are a list of our events coming up. We are going to do spring cleanup again. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. The last 2 weekends of April, the first 2 weekends of May, and we're going to do the same thing we've always done. Last year, we had to postpone it till the summer, so we had summer cleanup, which was interesting getting that whole thing up and running. I was on furlough for a while, and they decided to do the event, so they brought me back to do that, so that was awesome. Our hazardous waste collection event is coming up May 1st. You can check out some of the stuff here. We did move this event, if you participated in this event before. It's going to be up at the new city shops on 144th Ave. It provides us a larger footprint and safer transportation traffic flow. And we also don't have to close our tree branch and RV dump disposal. Where we were having it before, we had to close the road for the hours during the event, and we were frustrating residents by doing so. So I went ahead and got this new traffic plan approved. So we're going to move that event. There is some interesting items on here. I made up these acceptable items lists. So you can look through here and see all the things that we do accept. And then sometimes what's more frustrating is the stuff we don't accept. And I've tried to address every one of these things in this list to say where you can take them if they're not accepted at our events. Sorry, let me back up here. So we do paper shredding. We're doing 2 events again this year. The next one's going to be May 15th. It is not by appointment. You can just come as you go. It's 9 to 1 at the Norman Smith Service Center. All this information is on the webpage. When you open this up, it actually takes you to BREX. So you can see here, it's just a drop in, no registration required. And there is limits to what we take. I am flexible with some of this stuff. We just try not to get completely inundated. We only did 1 shred event last year, and it was a huge success in the fall. We did 550 households, I believe, and we filled 2 trucks to the brim. So we took on more for that event than we ever have before. Let's see, classes and events. These are the spring classes. You can see here, seed starting for vegetables and annual flowers. Design a xeriscape, composting class I teach. Rainwater harvesting class is like a rain barrel class that I teach. And then native landscaping weed management is actually in collaboration with Sustainable Broomfield at the Crescent Grange for the Saturday after Earth Day. I believe it's the 24th. So this is just our spring class. We will have a couple more coming up in June, I believe more from CSU Extension, like patio gardening and lawn care, I believe is the other one. So we're just pushing the spring ones right now. We did have some other classes that we could not provide this year because of staffing with like our parks department, our forestry people, stuff like that. So we're a little bit limited this year, but we're still trying to offer these, and we're actually going to do these virtual through a Zoom meeting. So it's going to be more like a webinar style. And typically these would be more in person, like at council chambers, where we would sit and do a Q&A at the end. But so that way we can meet, you know, Broomfield's demands for wanting to see these classes. They'll be recorded as well, so you can go on the website and watch these at any time, which is awesome. So that way we don't miss everybody who can't make Saturday morning because kids soccer or something like that. Next on my list was our waste oil, and so motor oil and cooking oil are accepted by the city for free. You can bring it Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 3, or on the first Saturday of each month, 8 to noon. There are some limits to how much you can bring, 5 gallons per month. They're flexible with that. They just don't want, you know, people showing up with 55-gallon drums. So they're, you know, they're a little flexible with that. And if you can't make these events or these dates, we will have our household hazardous waste event in May. And then the Broomfield, Boulder County Hazardous Materials Management Facility is open for Broomfield residents all year long. They are by appointment only right now. So you have to go on their website to make an appointment. And lastly, tree branch recycling. They haven't updated this yet. This is still showing their Christmas tree disposal. On the right, you can see location and hours. They're open Wednesdays and Saturdays, 1 to 5 on Wednesday, 8 to 5 on Saturday. And they'll take pretty much anything you can bring that's wooded material, tree branch, shrub branch. They will take leaves. We don't advertise leaves other than during the fall, as you can see at the bottom. These dates are for the fall program when people are bringing in a lot more leaves. So we advertise that. But during this other time of year, you can bring leaves, but we just don't advertise it so we don't overload our pile, because then it will start to go to compost, and we like to produce that back into mulch for residents to come get at their leisure. So the mulch pile sits outside the facility and it's available all the time. You can take as much as you want. And it's right now there's 3 different piles of mulch out there. There's chipped wood, ground wood, and then there's also Christmas tree grinds that are used for soil pH control. They can lower your pH in your soil. So some people know about these things. It's more of our forestry department that are the experts on this. So I just I'm trying to not mess up and explaining their program. So I think that was pretty much it. Let me see here. Let's see. Sorry. There we go.
Wonderful. Thank you, David.
Yeah, sure. Let me,
Yeah, so I had a question. You said the shoe and textile and book recycling, it just gets donated to ARC?
correct.
Okay. And I guess Rosie, is that the same thing that happens if you drop it at the Charm facility?
No, we have the USA, again, kiosks, but donating is a great alternative as well.
Okay. If they're really like in crappy shape, what should we do with them in either situation, I guess?
I guess, unfortunately, I think ARC, from what I've heard, they've been really overloaded due to COVID. I think everybody's been clearing out closets and basements. So I'm not sure exactly end of life for a lot of those things that are like really, really bad quality. Unfortunately, they're telling me that a lot of it, you know, they say trash it, which is not what we want to do. But yeah, that's basically what I've been hearing from them.
Yeah, the use again kiosks as well are having trouble with those tertiary markets. So you can put it in there and it's a for-profit company and they'll try to do what they can with it. But I mean, obviously don't donate stuff that's garbage, but for the USA again, kiosks. They'll go through it and hopefully recycle what they
Yeah.
can.
Thank you.
Right.
Did we have any other questions in the chat here? Oh, I had another one. Do you offer soil testing? Do you know if the city does that, Dave?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
I think there was a question here on from Gary about the city providing a scrap metal recycle roll-off. And right now, we don't provide this service. We just usually tell people to go find a scrap facility since there's so many. A lot of them will actually come to your house and pick up for free because there is money in it. If you want to take it somewhere, they will pay some places. I usually recommend people take it to Ecocycle because it's such a close facility, such an awesome facility. And we're so lucky to have them nearby. And then I'm allowed, it opens up the door to tell them about all the other stuff that Charm and Ecocycle does for our surrounding communities. So we're really lucky to have them so close. And looks like there was not a name on this one, but says, do you take shoes? Are they recycled or donated? I have a lot of kids' shoes in great condition. Those will definitely, I think, go for donation. We'd love to see those come in. We just take obviously pairs and they don't want zippers or lighted shoes with like batteries in them. So those are the only rules that I can remember from ARC and what they won't accept.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, I think we will move on to our next presenter then. Thanks again, David. That was great. I think that answered a lot of questions for a lot of people, and that's helpful to know about those special events that are coming up. And we'll definitely try to promote those with our Sustainable Broomfield website.
Yeah, and I'm here for you guys. If you guys have any questions for me, you can always reach me. Just give me a call, email. My information's plastered all over the website, so I can't hide. You can find me.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And if you want to put your like a email link or something in the chat there, then people can contact you if they have other questions right now.
Can do. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So now we've got Rosie to talk about first our Eco Leader program with Ecocycle and then the Charm. So Rosie, you can take it away.
All righty. Yay, what a good lineup today. I was excited to see Scraps on here too. And thanks to Dave as well. Big fans. I will talk about the Eco Leader program, and I made a slideshow, but it is literally just 3 slides because just so you have something to look at while I talk. I didn't want to provide like a whole bunch of text. So my name is Rosie Briggs. I'm from Ecocycle, which Dave gave a little intro to, but we are the recyclers for Boulder County, and we run the Charm, which I'll talk about in a second, as well as a bunch of legislation and outreach and education and infrastructure work and advocacy and all of the zero waste stuff. So I will go ahead and share my screen so we can look at something. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is a beautiful little snapshot of the Ecocycle Charm sign, and it's right next to Resource. If you've ever been to Resource, they're our next door neighbors, our roommates. And we call that little area, it's at 6400 Arapahoe. We call that Recycle Row. So we have Ecocycle's offices where we work when we're not in a pandemic. We have the Charm facility, which I'll of course talk about in a second. Resource, which they have their, it's like a reuse facility. So you can bring in stuff that can be reused. If you bring Ecocycle something to recycle and it can be reused, we can just go, oh, bring it next door instead, and vice versa. So you can find like furniture and sinks and tools. You can rent tools there. There's a whole bunch of stuff. They also do stuff with energy and water. And then across the street is the Western facility, the actual recycling facility, and the hazardous materials management facility for Boulder County. So if you find yourself in that corner of town, it's like across from the old power plant on Arapahoe. Okay, so I'm going to start with talking about the Eco Leaders program, and some of you are Eco Leaders. And the Eco Leaders program is really just folks like you who already care about zero waste and sustainability, and it's a network of folks who are the same way. So we're just connecting them to each other and to Ecocycle so that we can support you in doing whatever you are already trying to do, so that you can do it a little bit better and feel more supported in it, because it can feel really isolating to try to do this work alone and feel like other people don't care about waste and things like that. See your neighbors throwing their dog poop in the recycling. So I have this little picture that many of us can relate to when somebody throws something in the wrong bin and we have to dive in and get it. So really briefly, the history of the Eco Leaders just is the same as the history of our organization. Back in 1976, we started the very first recycling program in Colorado, and one of the very first in the country. Recycling was just getting started back in the 70s. And at the time, it was hard to get people on board with recycling because they didn't quite get it yet. So we had these volunteers driving around old school buses around the county. And in order to really like get people to participate, I wasn't alive, but I was in spirit there. We had to identify kind of one person in every block, in every neighborhood who did get it, who did understand what was going on with recycling and when to put stuff out and what to put out and why. And that person then reached out to their neighbors and acted as a resource for all of their neighbors to know. Like they would put up a sign that says Ecocycle comes this Saturday, or they would hand out a guide to let them know what to put out, or they would put a little sign in their window that said, ask me about recycling, so that when you're walking your dog, you can go ask them about recycling. And that was the first Eco Leader. And here we are today in 2021, and it's the same idea. Ecocycle can put out, information all day long through all of our media, but it won't necessarily reach people until a peer of theirs cares about it. And that peer-to-peer outreach is really where we see, ripples happen through our community. So being an Eco Leader is really a broad thing. Again, most people who sign up to be Eco Leaders, I'm like, you're already an Eco Leader. So now it's just, you have a name for it instead of feeling awkward. The example I always use is like, if you're sitting in Whole Foods and you're watching someone like struggle over the bins, you want to say something, you want to help, but it feels weird to be like, hi, I was watching you throw away your trash, let me interject. And it's much better to be like, hello, I'm a trained volunteer Eco Leader with Ecocycle, can I help you? Among other things, but that's just kind of my example of what it means to be an Eco Leader. So you get an initial training, which is just, and usually I sit down and buy you coffee and talk with you and become friends with you. But right now, obviously we can't do that. So right now what I'm doing is sending a training video, and it's just me talking about what goes where and why. And Broomfield's recycling guidelines are a little bit different than Boulder County's, just because the waste isn't necessarily coming to the Boulder County Recycling Center that we operate. But I can talk about some of the nuances and kind of the what's and whys and wheres of that. And then I have a one-on-one talk with you. So we just Zoom and we talk about your questions, and we talk about kind of what you were hoping to be involved in, and your interest, everything like that. There's no minimum requirement beyond that. It's just like, let's get you feeling really confident about what goes where. I can also talk about compost. And then from there, it's really up to you. So there's a whole lot of stuff that is available to you as an Eco Leader. There's about 1,000 Eco Leaders across Boulder County and Broomfield, and all of them really do different things. It's really just a sliding scale, so you can do whatever you want. And I will just let you know what is available, and you can opt into what you want and opt out of, or just not even opt into what you don't want to do. And then if you're working on something on your own, if you're like, I want to start a green team in my office, or like I want to start a hard to recycle bin in my kid's school or something, then that's the kind of thing that I can support you with. But so we can do campaigns involvement. So, if we're trying to pass legislation at the state level in Colorado, you can be involved with that. If we're trying to do a local, like I didn't use them. I mobilized the Louisville Eco Leaders when we were just trying to pass our single-use bag tax, which passed successfully in November, for example. It's just a really great, community that already exists when we have to do stuff. We have trainings and ongoing education. So I usually do it monthly in person, but now I'm doing it like every 2 months as a webinar, and they're called Eco Leader 2.0 trainings. And it's just like a deep dive, like a 2-hour kind of a lot of information in one training about something specific like microplastics or circular economy, or we're doing extended producer responsibility next, or food waste, or like what's going on with plastic markets and, you know, China, or even what Dave was talking about, like how we're seeing fluctuations in the OCC, the corrugated cardboard market right now. Like what is recycling markets? What does that even mean? These are all examples of things that we can do deep dives into. And then you can come to things you are interested in and not to other trainings if you're not interested in them. But it's a cool way to kind of become an expert and then kind of spread that information in whatever way makes sense to you, whether it's just like your friends and family know that they can ask you questions, or just even you in your own lifestyle, you know, now you have more information to live a greener lifestyle. The Ecocycle guide distribution is something that like Brianna was really helpful with in 2019, and we're going to do it again in 2021. And it's just, we have a booklet, an Ecocycle guide, and all the eco leaders just get a little stack on their doorstep, and then they just distribute it to their immediate neighbors. And so that way we get the guidelines in everyone's hands. And if you're interested in this part, then you can introduce yourself to your neighbors as the local eco leader as well. And then they can know to ask you questions moving forward. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities, you know, like tabling at events or helping with the guide distribution, or lots of stuff. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities. And then, yeah, educating your network and taking on your own projects. It's really flexible from there. So if anyone is interested in signing up to be an eco leader, I'm going to put my email and also the little link where you can sign up. So you could either email me or click the link and I'll reach out to you. I'll just do that as soon as I'm done talking about the charm. But we'd love to have you. Again, a lot of people sign up and then like don't do that much, honestly. And a lot of people sign up and do so much, and there's no wrong answer for being an eco leader. It's just whatever would best benefit you. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about the charm, which was already introduced. So the charm is, wasn't ready. This is what the drive-through looks like if you haven't been. It's the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. So Ecocycle runs, again, the actual recycling facility in Boulder County. So if you're in the county, and some of the stuff from Broomfield as well, and you put something in the recycling bin, it's going to come to our Boulder County recycling facility, which is a county-owned facility, but Ecocycle is a nonprofit, but the entity contracted to run that facility. So we are the people that are actually like on the line sorting your recycling, are Ecocycle folks, and we decide, you know, where the stuff is going and make the guidelines and all that stuff. And we also run the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, which is a really cool facility. And I feel like we should talk about it more than we do, because it was honestly kind of the first of its kind. There are, you know, hard to recycle facilities all over the place now. But Charm was one of the very first ones. It was back in 2001. And at the time it was more kind of like the EPA and cities and stuff would do like single day hard to recycle collections. And the Charm was like, Ecocycle said, well, why don't we do that every day? Like if there's stuff that we can divert from the landfill, but we can't take it in the regular recycling bin, why don't we just set up like a hub where you could come and try to recycle those hard to recycle things any day? So that's what we did. And the Charm has grown pretty consistently. There has been one material added every year since it's been around. It started with just a few, and now we have a whole bunch. And there is a $3 facility fee when you come, if you come in a car. If you walk or bike or take the bus, then there's none. But so part of it is just to keep the facility running, because we have to have a lot of folks doing a lot of stuff in the Charm yard, moving stuff around and helping people and running the window and all that stuff. And then part of it is one of the very first days we opened, we didn't have the facility fee, and someone drove up, like one of the very first customers we ever had drove up in a Hummer and was like, I'm so proud of myself. I drove all the way here from Arvada to give you this bag. And we were like, well, that's not really on brand for us. It's not really on mission. So I think we should try to encourage people bringing in big loads of stuff and carpooling and all that stuff. So the Charm accepts a lot of things. And so what classifies something as hard to recycle, it could be a couple of things or a combination of things. So it could be that physically that material cannot go through the machinery at the Boulder County Recycling Center or whatever recycling center. So like a great example of that is like plastic bag. There is a market for this. This is just something that was literally just on my table right now, but like a grocery bag or anything like that is more common. So there is a market for this stretchy plastic material, and it's decking. It's like Trex decking, that composite lumber stuff. But if you put a plastic bag through the recycling, we have all these gears and wheels and it'll just jam it up. So physically, we don't want it in the regular recycling, so it becomes hard to recycle. It also could be hard to recycle because of a market issue, because there's an added cost to it, basically. So like an electronic, in order to recycle an electronic in a responsible way, we need a lot of we need someone to actually dismantle it, to take it apart and then dispose of each thing correctly. And so that, because of that added step and that added labor and cost, we have to charge for electronics. So we can't just take them in the regular bin. So here's all of the stuff. So again, the most common ones I put at the beginning. So plastic bags, it can either be like a shopping bag, a bread bag, a newspaper bag. Also stuff like this mailer, like the bubble, the one that's like fully plastic. That's just a number 4 LDPE, low density polyethylene. And so if it has a number 4 on it, you can put it in. But also you could do the rip test. So if you have something that's like a plastic baggie, try to rip it. And if it stretches and then rips in like a ripple pattern, that was a bad example. So like this is jagged. You can't really see that, but I feel like you know what I'm talking about. If it rips in like a jagged pattern, then that's okay. That's that LDPE and you can put it in. If it's like a more like a cherry bag, like a chicken rotisserie bag kind of thing, or like a trail mix bag, then that kind of thing will just rip straight. And that's the kind we can't take in that bin. Scrap metal is also a big one. As Dave said, scrap metal is valuable stuff. So we use that to kind of offset the stuff that we don't make money on. So we don't pay you to give us scrap metal, but then we also don't charge for other stuff because we don't pay you to give scrap metal. So that's why we don't pay out for scrap metal. But if anything is at least 50% metal, we can take it in the scrap metal collection. The reason that scrap metal can't go in the regular recycling is because, like, although it's so recyclable physically, if it goes through, if you give us like an engine in the recycling center, is just going to mess up all of our machinery and our conveyor belts and like cut our hands. Even if it's like a coat hanger, it's just going to tangle everything up. Block styrofoam is another one that we can take. We condense it all up. And so it's not the food grade styrofoam and it's not the squishy styrofoam. It's like the kind that if you got a TV, it's like the padding and you could crack it in half and it would like have all the little balls that would stick onto your clothing. It's that kind. Electronics. So there is a fee associated with electronics, as I said, and that's just how it is until we can get the EPR that we should get, the extended producer responsibility. Producers of these electronics should pay for the disposal of the electronics rather than you. But until then, this is our best option. But the very cool thing about recycling your electronics at the Charm is that our in-house electronics recyclers have the highest environmental and social stewardship certification that you can have. And that's really important to pay attention to, because sometimes there's like fake electronics recycling collections and it just like ends up in a pile in a developing country with women and children picking apart scary stuff. So you can be sure that it's staying domestic, it's actually getting recycled. And Blue Star specifically employs adults with autism and other disabilities to take apart the electronics. So it's a really cool win-win. We can also take appliances. So there's like a whole definition of what's an electronic and what's an appliance, but we can take both of them. I think it's, depending on what the electronics are, it's like 39 to 49 cents a pound. We can take mattresses. That's another cool one, because landfills will charge you more to throw away your mattress than we will charge to recycle your mattress. And it's just because they hate to they want to tamp everything down, and a mattress is reluctant to be tamped. So it's a good thing to keep out of the landfill. And again, it goes to Springback, which is in Denver, and it employs specifically veterans and folks recovering from substance abuse and stuff like that. And they make dog beds. Very cool. Big fan of that. We take books and we donate them to schools and prisons. And if it's not in good shape, then we recycle them. You can recycle a paperback book in your regular recycling bin. If it's a hardback book, you can give it to us, or you can just donate it because it's still a book. We take bikes and bike parts, yoga mats, cooking oil, and then big durable number 2 plastics. So not like, like a little smoothie bottle or anything, but like more like a bucket or a crate or a kiddie pool, a lawn chair, stuff like that. Plate glass, we can take porcelain. So like your toilet, if you bring your toilet and it's usable, we can give it to resource. If it's not, we can take it. Even if you break your plate or something, we can take that. Concrete, fire extinguishers. We have a paper shredding service. So if you have like a banker box that you want us to shred, we can do that. Or if you just want to drop off your shred. Textiles, like we talked about. And if you don't have access to like curbside recycling, which of course you have your drop-off center, like we just talked about, but some folks don't have that nearby either. So you can always take your single stream recycling to us, and your compost if you don't have access to a compost service. So if you don't have scraps and you don't have curbside compost, you can bring us all of your industrial compost, and we send it to A1 Organics, which is our current industrial composter in Boulder County, or for Boulder County. So the charm is, yeah, I'm a big fan of charm. It's a really cool place, and we for each one of our things, we work really hard to find a sustainable market for it, but also see if we can incorporate a social enterprise, like a social advantage as well, like employing hard to employ folks and things like that. So yeah, if you are in the area, I would recommend coming by. Another cool thing that eco leaders can do is, if you do find yourself taking trips to the charm, is offering to take your neighbors' stuff. So like my neighbors in Lafayette will just like drop off their bags of bags or their scrap metal or whatever, because I will go there anyway. And especially, you know, in Broomfield where you're not so close to charm, that's a great thing to do. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. And I saw some questions pop up, but I didn't look at them yet. The Ecocycle app. Yeah, thanks, Julie. So that's a great thing to bring up that I often forget to bring up. So we made an app, and it's called Ecocycle A to Z, and it looks like this. And you can just be like, yoga mat, and we'll tell you, oh, we take it at the charm. But even if we don't, we'll say curbside recycling or curbside composting, or take it to the charm. And if we don't take it, then we'll say where we do take it, like, or where someone else takes it. Like, okay, well, we don't take tennis balls, but the Humane Society takes them as a donation, something like that. So that's a great resource. You can just type that in wherever you get your apps. Do we need to cut off the labels off of plastic, off of mailers? Yes, that's a great note. So here I have my plastic mailer. This is my sister's, it still has stuff in it. But yeah, we need to remove the stickers. So it's hard to peel it off. So I just, like, before I bring it in, I just take scissors and like 5 minutes and just cut off all the labels. Does the RIP test also apply to the recyclements at the grocery store? Yeah, so the alternative to our charm collection for the number 4 LDPE stretchy stuff is that you can take it to a grocery store as well. Of course, we can't verify, like, I don't want to be like, don't trust the grocery stores. Sometimes people aren't trained correctly, and it gets contaminated and gets thrown out. So I can only verify for the charm, but I would bring stuff to the grocery store if I was nearer to that than the charm. And yeah, so the RIP test is the same for them. The only thing I would say is that usually for the grocery store, they kind of, you know, talk about it just as like a plastic bag collection, which is fair because that's just like an easy thing to say. And at charm, you know, we have all these additional things like the mailers and the other things that we know are LDPE, but like a grocery store person wouldn't be trained to know what's LDPE. So they might take it out if they think it's contamination, or they might throw out more if they think it's contamination. But yeah, that number 4 stretchy RIP test, that all that stuff is good. It's the same stuff. Yeah, the King Supers, yeah, and King Supers specifically, we work with them kind of a lot. They have like some pretty lofty goals actually for sustainability and zero waste. I would trust the King Supers plastic recycle bin. Yeah, just bottom line, please don't put it in the regular recycling, but there are certainly some options for recycling those plastic bags. But above all, like, avoid them if you don't just like get a bunch of plastic bags just because you can recycle them. It's not the goal. Other questions?
Yes. Do you take the bulbs that have mercury in them?
So that's a great question. Bulbs and batteries can go to the Hazardous Materials Management Facility. So they're not us, but they're right next door. And I'm
Oh,
not sure about the Broomfield one, but yeah, we can't like, we're not licensed to take hazardous materials.
okay, thank you.
And I'm
Yeah.
just gonna put my my email and the link right here just while you guys are asking questions.
Hey,
Sorry.
Rosie, one thing that's come up a lot in our neighborhood and like Broomfield moms is
Mhm.
couches. Like so many people want to get rid of couches, but I think sometimes the Goodwill doesn't take them.
Yes.
Anything they could recommend?
So this is one that just came to my attention finally, because that is such a frustrating one. Oh no. Okay, wait, I want to find it because I'm gonna like look it up right now on my email, because yeah, that was something that we did not have a solution for. And then someone, worse, if I can't find it right now, I can just send it to Brianna and we can set it out. But someone just started taking couches and like even if they're in bad shape, like renovating them. Whatever the word is. Oh my gosh. I might have to text my coworker and hope that she texts back in like 1 minute.
Reupholster.
Yes, reupholster. That is the word that I was looking for.
Did they take them at Resource?
If it's usable, they'll take it. Resource, like they're only taking stuff that they can just go here and resell. They don't like
Kind of like ARC, basically.
but they also Resource will also do like building material. Like my dad's a carpenter. He goes to Resource all the time to get like materials, not just like thrift stuff. So you can like, they have a whole yard in the back where it's like wood and plate glass and like a sink thing and porcelain and all this stuff. Okay, let me see if my coworker texts me back, but I can just email this group as well about the couch one, because I'm really excited about that. And we're gonna put
Thank
it
you,
on
because I've even noticed there's a Broomfield free Facebook group, and even people giving away couches, nobody takes them because I think they're just so cheap now. You know, you could go to IKEA and buy a couch, so even people giving them away free, it's not happening. So that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I found it. It is already on our app. I use our app every day, even though it's my job to know what goes where. It's called The Good Couch, and it picks up your couch and refurbishes and resells the couch. So pickup is free within 25 miles of their shop in North Glen, and there's a fee if they need to pick it up from further away. They can accept couches that a thrift store wouldn't take, but they may need to charge a fee if the furniture is in a very damaged state. So you can just go to their website, which is thegoodusedcouch.com, and I'll type that out.
That's so amazing. Thank you. The good used couch. Okay.
Goodusedcouch.com. Yeah, that's a tricky one, and it's been a tricky one for a long time.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
Could you also give us the name of the Ecocycle app, or is it just Ecocycle?
It's called I'll just type all this out. It's called Ecocycle A to Z. And yeah, I mean, I think if you just type Ecocycle into the app store, it'll probably pull it up, but it's like a blue background with a white recycling symbol. And you can also go to our website. And there is a bar at the top where you can type in the same thing. If you don't want to download the app, then we'll give you the same information. And you can call us at, let's see, and we'll type it in. 303-444-6634, or email recycle@ecocycle.org or Rosie@ecocycle.org. Because we do have full-time people working the front desk who will answer any of your questions. If you want to send like a photo, you can email that email or me, because I also am happy to do that. Oh no, I sent all this to Gary directly. How did I do that? Let me send it to all of you. Anyway, yeah, so we know that recycling is very confusing, so we want to be as accessible as possible so that you don't stress out. Yes, so Gary, yeah, you should, if you downloaded the Ecocycle app, you should be able to just, it'll load for a second. And then this search bar, it has the little magnifying glass, and you can just click on it, and that's where you type in your stuff. This is not really focusing, but the search bar at the very top is where you can type stuff in.
We have recently started having Home Chef delivered food a couple times a month. And they purport that all of their stuff, or almost all of it, is recyclable. And they have a plastic bag with like a Ziploc, and it says, it's got the big Ecocycle symbol on it. It says number 5.
Yep. So that is the thing, Belinda. It's it's so hard. It's so confusing because people are trying to do the right thing, and then these companies are like, that's recyclable, when it's just not. So either, I mean, some companies are saying it based on one recycler that they spoke to who said that there was a potential market for it. But of course, recycling guidelines change from place to place. And I don't know of a single recycler that could take a number 5 bag. So that's exactly the type of bag that I'm talking about when I say the kind that would rip in a straight line.
Yep.
Like a chicken rotisserie bag. And that's the kind for which there's no market. We can't take it in the plastic bag recycling bin.
Okay, really only those stretchy kinds that you can take.
Right. And you can, the food delivery thing is one that has come up in a big way recently. And there's so much stuff out there where like, we can't even put out a guide saying like, yes, no, because there's like no uniformity to the material. So you can like, I've been getting so many of these emails, and you can send me an email like with pictures, and I will tell you like, yes, no, because there's so much greenwashing with the delivery ones, whether it's intentional or not.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Awesome.
Other questions?
Any other questions? All right.
Oh, Nude Foods plug. Yeah, that's a great one, Elizabeth. So she just said, I love to buy from Nude Foods in Boulder, and that's a new company where it is food delivery, and they'll do like prepared meals or groceries or like little treats. Like they had a holiday cookie thing, and it's zero waste packaging, and they'll like drop it off on a bike and then pick it back up. And it's COVID safe, and it's zero waste. And yeah, we work with them and we love them. So check it out.
Hey, Rosie, it's Julie. I had one more. Speaking of companies, have you heard anything about the Misfits food delivery?
I haven't.
So I'm gonna look into it more, but they offer like the ugly fruits and vegetables. So
Yeah.
you can also at a discounted price. So I've been looking at maybe getting that, but it's just like all the ugly fruits. So we'll see.
Yay. Yeah, Nude Foods has a category for that as well. And that's such a cool, love to find that at the grocery store. And if there's a specific, delivery, it's called Misfits, you said?
Yeah, Misfits. And it's like one of those, just like a delivery. They bring it right to your step, and I'm just kind of looking into it. I'm not sure where they're based out of, but if they use local farms, but I'm going to look into it a little bit more. But it's called Misfit Farms or something like that.
Awesome. Yeah,
they've been advertising on TV lately.
Yeah, I think the issue with some of these is they may not deliver to Broomfield, so you might have to like go to a pickup location or something. I know I had signed up for something like that was down south, and I think they've actually had to close, but they were like, well, you can come to this pickup location that's at I-70 or something like that. So Judy was also asking, is plastic bag number 7 trash?
Yeah, I don't even know why 7 would be in a bag form. 7 is like the other category. It's like something else, call it a 7. I don't know. So yeah, it's not a good number in any form really.
Is there a
we
number for compostable plastics?
So yeah, number 7 is also compostable plastics, which is not a good idea for them to have done. So if for compostable plastics, look for 7 PLA. And if it just says 7, then it's trash. This is the kind of thing that we need 2 hours for. It's a lot of plastic numbers to talk about.
Yes, sign up to be an eco leader and you can join in the webinar where we learn all these specifics and stuff and become experts. All right, thank you so much, Rosie. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to email Rosie and check out that site and stuff. And we will we're going to send an email. I'm going to save this chat and send an email to everyone with all the links and everything from this meeting. So we do have a YouTube channel actually. So I'm going to actually post this video on our YouTube channel. So thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, we got that down. We even have some composting videos on there if you want to learn how to backyard compost. So all right, but we're gonna move on. So our last presenter is Nicole, and she is going to talk about another hard to recycle materials program called Terracycle. So Nicole, why don't you just take it away?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I moved back here to Colorado like 6 years ago. And when I was still working in Boulder, my office knew how recycling and reducing and reusing is like really near and dear to my heart. So they asked me if I wanted to pilot the Terracycle program. So I am a volunteer, so I don't work for Terracycle. But what we are doing is I sign up with certain programs, and I have tried to get people on Nextdoor involved. And so obviously the more we collect, the more we can send in, and the more points I create with this account, and then it goes to donations to nonprofit organizations. And right now the beneficiary is Southern Plains Land Trust, which is a wildlife refuge down in Southern Colorado. And but obviously any kind of nonprofit organization can sign up. And so hopefully in the future we can even get Sustainable Broomfield, getting some of that money towards them donated. And so what I'm currently collecting is like anything oral hygiene products. So old toothbrushes, toothpaste tubes, the caps, the packaging. So the only thing that they don't use or don't recycle is battery operated ones. And I guess that would go to the hazardous waste material shop in Boulder. But empty floss containers, any kind of razor packaging, disposable razors. And Brianna has put like a really nice list together. And so if you guys want to start collecting, you don't have to keep them separate. Just have like maybe a box in your garage or whatever. You guys can email me for pickup. I'm always zooming around in Broomfield anyways, so I can make a contactless porch pickup. And then I'm going to just sort it out. And then if I have enough, so there's usually a minimum weight of about 5 pounds for these different programs. And I'll send this in, and then my account or my former office's account is credited, and then I'll distribute the points accordingly. And the payout is usually for nonprofit organizations twice a year. So in June and in November. So they are not just sending out like checks, every 2 weeks, but they collect it and then send it out pretty much like a lump sum. And so, yeah, I think it's a really great program that they have, because most of that stuff cannot be recycled anywhere else. And like I said, I have several programs that I participate in. And if we can make this bigger and better, and maybe get Broomfield to collect more, then I can sign up with more programs. And yeah, so if you guys have neighbors or schools, offices, you guys can always reach out to me and ask me, and I'll be in touch usually within 24 to 48 hours.
Awesome. Yeah, we can share that list in just a minute, but does anyone have any questions for Nicole? All right, well, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share the list that we've compiled of the Terracycle and actually the charm stuff that we're going to start collecting. So that kind of brings us into we're starting a hard to recycle materials campaign. And basically we as Sustainable Broomfield want to just start collecting these hard to recycle materials. Oh yeah, so Nicole, she was asking, what does Terracycle do with the materials?
So what they are doing with the materials, they are upcycling it. So they make different items. So I think a lot of that stuff, like with the toothpaste tubes and whatever, they create plastics and do like playscapes that then they donate those. So yeah, so they really trying to recycle and upcycle that stuff. So
Awesome.
depending on what you obviously, send in. So, and there's also obviously a lot of really great information on their website as well, which is terracycle.com.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to share my screen, and we've got our list right here. All right, so our Terracycle recycling list, and what we've done is we've set up a compost bin. We had an extra plastic compost bin at the Crescent Grange. And so we've set that up. We have this list on the front of it, and this is all the stuff that we're gonna accept in that bin. And so Nicole will stop by occasionally and grab stuff out of there, or I'll stop by and run it over to her house. But all brands, toothpaste tubes, caps, toothbrushes, even the containers, the packaging that they all come in. Razor blades, so those razors that you can't recycle, you can now recycle those. And again, all the plastic packaging that it comes in. Health and nutrition packaging, so vitamins and minerals and supplements, cough and cold and flu and everything you find in those aisles of healthcare. Infant formulas and child nutrition packaging, personal care, foot care packaging. And what we have here, all these blue things here, if you click on them, it actually opens up like a poster that shows you, here's all the kind of stuff that we'll take. So you just click on that if you're not sure exactly what it's talking about. Open those up. We'll also take all brands of baby food packaging. This goes through, like the Gerber program does that. We take all writing instruments and packaging. So all those empty dead pens that you can't do anything with, glue sticks, watercolor dispensers, paint sets, all sorts of stuff like that. These are kind of the general items in our left-hand category, and just, it doesn't really matter which brand it is. On the right, there are specific brands that Nicole has selected to collect from. So if you buy Herbal Essences shampoo, or maybe now you want to switch to Herbal Essences shampoo because, they're actually taking responsibility for the stuff that they're sending out there, and it's going back to them and being recycled. Tom's of Maine products here, toothbrushes, deodorants, EOS brand lip stuff, shaving stuff, Arm & Hammer, and OxyClean. We can take some of their cleaning, laundry cleaning supplies and stuff. Brita filters, all those darn filters you use, and after a while you're like, okay, what do I do with this now? We can recycle all of those, even the pitchers if you're done using it for a while. Calbee, they have snack packaging, so they'll take their food wrappers back. Late July snacks, their snack packages. Entenmann's has a little bit here, just their little plastic or little bites, plastic pouches, and the minis packaging they'll take. And Barilla Ready Pasta will take back their pouches as well. So, things to maybe look at purchasing instead of other options if you have in the grocery store. So again, you can take those and drop them off at the Grange, or you can contact Nicole. And I would just start collecting these in like a little box, and like when your box is full, give her a call and be like, hey, I got a whole bunch of stuff that you can take from me and send back to them. And so we've got her email on the bottom here. And we also have Terracycle's website. So if you want to check out, all this stuff, and there's even more programs that Nicole is not signed up for, like here's the Acure, here's the Aussie, different brands that we don't currently collect, but if there's interest in these, we could switch to or sign up for these programs as well. And then down here, we're also going to be collecting items to take to the charm. We're basically going to be your carpool to the charm. because a few of us have electric vehicles and we actually get in free to the charm using our electric vehicles. So we were like, okay, well, we can just make a run of a whole bunch of stuff all at once. And so we set up a separate bin at the Grange. It's a green one, just because it's bigger. And I was feeling like we might get like big blocks of white block foam. So we're using the bigger one for the charm stuff. We'll take all of that plastic packaging stuff. But again, a lot of these can be recycled at King Soopers. So if you want to just take most of those things to King Soopers, that's fine. The white block foam, again, like Rosie was talking about, we'll take those. If you have a whole, like, I don't know, you bought like a refrigerator and it was packaged in like white block foam and you're like, I got a whole lot of this stuff. It's not going to fit in our little compost drop off. Just give us a call or an email and we'll arrange to do try and figure out a pickup system for that. And we have like directions on here. Yeah, don't do like the foam packing peanuts and all of those types of things. So just read the directions carefully and you should be good. Cooking oil we can do. Again, the city of Broomfield does this at least certain times of the year, if not always. But yeah, we can take those as well. Here's also a link to the recycling guide for different oils. And then we're going to take the scrap metal as well. We're not really taking everything Charm accepts because a lot of those items actually require a fee. So what we've done is we've tried to get the stuff here that doesn't require a fee for us to drop it off for you. But again, they do recycle a whole lot of other stuff. If you have a mattress, like go to them. If you have electronics, go to them for that. But we're just trying to make it easier so people don't have to, you know, make a trip down there very often and we can all carpool and make it more efficient for everybody. So we'll send a link out for this list as well. And we got about 1 more minute here. And so any questions on all of that stuff at this point?
I wanted just to mention with the Toms of Maine, they actually, so certain programs are brand specific, and then certain programs, they allow other brands. So like with Toms of Maine, I can actually send in a non-Toms of Maine deodorant stick. So so go ahead and just recycle it. Just put it in your bin, and because I pretty much know already what is accepted and what is not. And also the other thing is with the recycling with Terracycle, there are only certain slots that they allow people to sign up. So I guess what it is, the companies that make these products, they have a certain amount set aside to be paid out. So not everybody can just sign up. So if you can go ahead and have like actually a whole bunch of people recycling through one person like myself, that would help just keeping the participations down so other people can do the same thing. And so sometimes when they offer a program, it will show how many slots are still open. And if the slots are taken, you can sign up and be on a waiting list. So, but like I said, if we can get a whole bunch of people to actually start recycling, then I will start signing up with more programs as they come, because sometimes when the money is depleted from a certain product, they close the program, but then something else is usually going to be offered. So it does switch a little bit with the oral hygiene products. I'm sorry, my cats are just being like little stinkers. They're just like, it's dinner time, so they keep distracting. Yeah, so if we have a lot of people that can sign up with the oral hygiene products, that has been going on for several years now. And since I was working in the dental field, we gotten a lot of oral hygiene products that I was able to send in. So it's really amazing when you see these boxes go out and you realize that they don't end up in the landfill. It's really great. So get your friends, your neighbors, family to participate, and then so we can get a whole bunch of stuff that we can actually recycle, and it's not going to end up in the landfill. And
awesome. Yeah, and we've put together a form for people who want to sign up to be like a possible drop-off location. So I'll send out the link to that as well in case you're interested in being like a drop-off donation spot for other sustainable Broomfield members or just neighbors and stuff like that. And then you would basically just contact Nicole and she'll come and, pick it up when you have stuff. So just so everybody doesn't have to drive to the southwest corner of Broomfield to drop these things off. So we'll just include that in our email when we send that out. And our last topic was our Earth Day. And I'll just give you a real quick rundown. We were thinking of doing some sort of like wild goose chase scavenger hunt, where basically we give people sign up to participate and we give them a clue or say, go to this first place for your first clue. And when they get there, they maybe have to like write down something that's on a sign. And once they've completed that task, they get the next clue. And it leads them to all sorts of different places throughout Broomfield. And we think that it's a nice way to socially distance while at the same time, like getting people out and about in Broomfield and pointing out different things to do with nature, the environment, or different organizations that are, active in Broomfield. So that's kind of the basic initial idea that we're starting with for our Earth Day. And it would run over like a 2-week period of time so people can do it at, their leisure, whatever they have time to do things. It's a good family activity, it's kind of like the Pokemon Go type, thing, just going around and checking things out and really exploring the city while at the same time celebrating Earth Day. And we'd have like maybe some prizes and stuff that people could get while they, if they're the first person to get there or the 20th person to get there or something like that, they win a prize. So that's our initial thought. And if you guys are interested in participating in that, just give us an email and we're starting to sign up volunteers to help us plan that out. I see that we have a couple of messages here. Tanisha, where can we access that list? So I will include that list in the email that I send out to you guys. You'll get that in either a day or two. I don't know if I can share the link right now because I think it's still editable. So I will, I'll get that out as soon as I can. I'll really try to get that out tomorrow to you guys. Or send me an email and I'll just directly send it to you. And then to get on our email list, just email us. Say that again. So I'll put our email. Yeah, so you can just email us there and I'll make sure you guys get access to all of this stuff. Any questions from anybody? We had a pretty packed night, so thank you all for coming. I appreciate you guys taking all the time out, and we'll try and line up some good speakers for next month. Our next meeting will be on the last Monday in February, so you can just add that to your list. It'll be 6:30 to 8 again, and a Zoom meeting again. So I hope that we will see you guys all again, and thanks again for coming tonight, guys.
Thank you, Brianna.
Oh,
Bye, everyone.
can we do a real quick picture? Can you guys turn on your thing and we'll do like a little, actually, how do I do picture? Okay, so yeah, turn on your cameras.
Should I turn that light?
There we go.
And all right, 1, 2, 3.
Yay.
All right, thanks guys. It was great.
Thanks,
seeing you.
Brianna.
Thanks, Brianna. Good to see you.
Super cool.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.